So we're going to hear from Julia Goldin, who is an alum of Signal and is back, the Chief Product and Marketing Officer of the LEGO Group. Welcome, Julia.
Good to see you. Thank you. Hello. So I've been invited back, so I probably didn't do so badly the first time. And I'm sure that many of you probably were here in 2018 when I was here. It was a highlight for me to come and be able to speak with you, and I'm super happy to be able to do it again. And I know many of you are probably new. So I know I'm here between you and your break, well-deserved break, but hopefully you'll stick with it and be entertained. Now, one thing I am going to talk about is that's very different from everything that I heard just now, and we had a great sessions, but we talked a lot about digital things, and I'm going to talk to you about something very physical, but something very important. So let me start by talking a little bit about where we are today, and this year is a very special year for us. It's our 90th anniversary. So the LEGO Group is 90 years old. And the LEGO Group, started with the same idea that still drives us today, which is the idea of play and the importance of play. And I love the fact that your conference is about learning and building and leading and about creativity, because that's really what play unlocks. And Ole Christensen, you see him here. I work right next door to where he actually started the company. He was a carpenter, and after World War I, when Denmark was in deep depression, he felt that it was really important that all children had access to play. And so he started to create toys. And that's still very much what drives us today, building creativity through play. Now, a lot of things have happened in the last 4 years, and I wanted to just give you a bit of a snippet of what we have been up to. So we've been up to a lot, and we're still very much focused on children. They are our #1 priority, and the kids' world has changed significantly also in the last 4 years. They're truly living in a world that's a VUCA world. It's unpredictable, it's vulnerable. But what is different today versus, I think, any other generation of children is that kids are really engaged in shaping the world. And they are engaged because they know that they're going to have to solve the problems of tomorrow. We know that 60% of kids today in kindergarten will have jobs that don't exist today. So we need to prepare them for that future. And I would tell you that one of the key things that they need in their lives is play. And another thing that they really need in their lives is to learn through play and learn to be creative. And I want to talk a little bit more about creativity. So the LEGO Group, just to give you a little bit of where we are, we started in 1932. I don't know how many of you know this, but LEGO is actually play well. That's where it all started. And now we're in 120 plus countries. We have 24,000 colleagues around the world. And we are the #1 toy company. So as a brand, as the #1 brand for children, we really believe that we carry a responsibility to ensure that they have a better future and that we prepare them for it. And I just wanted to say a little bit about the theme of the presentation that I want to share with you here, which is that we are truly leading with purpose. So if you actually look at our highlights of 21, this is the type of growth that we have experienced in terms of revenue and in terms of profit. And this is not a one-off. It's actually a sustainable path that we have been on for quite a few years. But what's interesting is that we have a long-term vision in mind. We're looking to 2032, where we want to be a global force for learning through play. And that's why a lot of the work that we do, despite the fact that you see this high operating profit, is actually reinvesting in the future. Whether it's about innovating retail and opening our own stores and creating better experiences for all of our consumers, whether it's about investment in innovation of play, investment in digitalization and sustainability, but also very importantly, investment in our colleagues, investment in our people. So we are truly driven by our purpose. And I have to say, in today's world and the future world, this is super important because consumers increasingly expect more from brands. They don't just want great quality service and product. They want products and services and brands that actually create better value and create a better world. And so being driven by purpose is not something that sits on the side. It's actually something that drives growth and creates value. And we have a very clear purpose. Our mission is to inspire and develop the builders of tomorrow. And there's 3 things I want to highlight about how we lead with purpose: building creative resilience and creating relevance to people around the world, innovating play, and driving growth and being a force for good. So let's talk a little bit about building creative resilience. Why is that so important? In 2019, we launched our first global brand campaign, believe it or not. First global brand campaign, Rebuild the World, for first time ever. And a lot of people ask, well, why do you need to do a brand campaign for the Lego brand? Everybody knows Lego, right? But we felt it was really important to give a very important message about the importance of play and the importance of creativity to people around the world, particularly parents, but not just parents, also our key stakeholders. People around the world. Why? Because creativity is the essential 21st century skill. We all need it. We need to be creative problem solvers. Creativity is not just being able to think divergently. It's not just something that is only for the elite of artistic kind of talents. It's actually for everybody to be able to creatively problem solve, to be able to come up with solutions, to be able to have creative resilience and work through issues. And that's really, really important. It's not just important for children. It's also very important for adults, and it's very important for us. So the whole point of Rebuild the World is to help the world understand the importance of creativity. And the other key area of focus for us is very much about creating relevance, communicating these messages in a way that really inspires and motivates, and bringing different creators into the cultural conversation. And I'll just give you a few examples. So we work with creators like Alicia Keys, and it really inspires, not just with her sheer musical talent, but also the way that she talks about creative problem solving. Yota Matalengi was a famous chef. Ikawa Meko, you see here, he's a creator who creates everything just out of black pieces of Lego to really send a message about diversity and inclusivity, or working with sports brands like Adidas. So it's really an opportunity for us to engage the world in this conversation, and it has been really working well, especially because there's so many people around the world that actually don't necessarily appreciate the importance of creativity and the importance of play in the lives of their children. The second area is around innovating play. And again, here we have a very clear, purpose-driven approach. We know that kids learn when they play. But we also know that they spend a lot of time in digital space. And you could look at different studies. Some say over 60%, some say more than they are in school. But we know that over 60% of parents think their kids are on digital platforms too much. But at the same time, they also feel that these digital platforms could be beneficial for them. We've done a few things in the last few years to actually tackle this space. One is we're bringing technology to integrate into physical play, because the bricks are still really important and the physical experience of building and rebuilding is still really essential. So Lego Super Mario is a great example. It's one of the most successful launches we've ever had, where you could play a physical game, but it also, your Mario character comes to life, collects points, same with Luigi, and it's an opportunity for kids to compete in real life and build their own challenges. We also focus on creating completely new play patterns with physical bricks. And that is a great example where we tap into the passion point of arts and crafts and give a different way for kids to build. But you had Matthew here talking about Epic Games, and I just want to say a few words about what we're doing with respect to the metaverse. We actually did put a stake in the ground, and we actually did go into it full force, and we committed to it. And why is that so important? It's because the web as it exists today, whether it's, let's call it Web 2.0, was not designed with children in mind. And where kids are today, one, doesn't give them the meaningful experiences that they need, but second, doesn't really do it in a way that is safe for them. And what we have taken on as our mission is to create a partnership with Epic Games where we are actually going to be focused on building amazing experiences for kids to protect their right to play, to protect their rights to connect with other kids, to build friendships and communities, but do it in a way that is safe from design. And so this is a really important way in which we can innovate play, both in a way that's purposeful, but also in a way that's fun, because at the end of the day, play has to be fun. The second area that hopefully some of you have noticed is the fact that we've become a lot more purposeful about engaging adults. So in our portfolio, we have really focused on expanding our adult base. Now, how many of you build with Lego bricks? See, I see a lot of hands going up now, and I'm sure that you have favorite sets. Actually, adults have always been a huge part of the Lego brand, but they are particularly adult fans of Lego who like to build and rebuild and create their own things. 4 years ago, we made a decision to be much more purposeful because we recognized that there's a lot more adults out there who would love to have a mindful focus moment with Lego bricks, but just really didn't know that products exist for them or where to find them. And one of the things that we did was really to understand the passion points that adults had, which helped us to kind of really expand our portfolio. And just to give you an interesting fact of how this has manifested itself. So you can imagine that we sell a lot of products to adults, and the number one product that in value last year that we sold was Lamborghini. So it's a big Technic Lamborghini car. How many of you know it or have built it? Okay, some of you have seen it, I'm sure. But it retails for over 300 pounds or US dollars. They're almost the same now, but let's not talk about that. So it's an expensive product, so you could imagine it was number one in value. What was the number two product in value? Well, you actually see it here. It's the flower bouquet, which retails for about $60. So much lower in value. And it was number one, of course, also in terms of units. You can imagine it's a very different audience we're bringing in, and we never expected, but there's a lot of women, there's a lot of gift giving going on, and that is actually an enormously important way for us not just to build this community that we have of adult fans of Lego, but we know that every adult that builds with Lego bricks is a more active inspirer of children around them, especially women. And I'll come to talk about why that's so important in a minute, but women that build are also more prone to give Lego sets to the girls in their lives. And that's very important because we want to ensure that we're bringing more and more girls into the Lego brand. And then the final thing that we did was actually continue to build our communities. And so we acquired Bricklink, which is a company that's actually particularly focused on adult fans with a marketplace, but also opportunity for them to showcase their creations. And what that allows us to do is to become a real force for driving good in the world. not only in driving growth and investing in the future, but also being able to do more for the world. 25% of everything we made goes to LEGO Foundation. And LEGO Foundation has been, with that profit coming in, with that investment coming in, has been able to create more and more opportunities for kids around the world. So just to give you a few examples of things that we just announced very recently. We pledged $15 million to kids in Ukraine. This is the second pledge already. We pledged $20 million to focus on kids who are neurodiverse and to help create innovation that will help neurodiverse kids to succeed in their lives and to succeed in the world. We partnered with LEGO Foundation to create Braille bricks and audio building instructions, so we can now welcome a lot of blind kids into the LEGO brand. And we obviously also invest in sustainability to drive both neutrality in our operations, to create completely carbon neutral factories. We've just announced 2 of them that we're building. By 2025, all of our packaging will go inside the boxes will go to paper, and we're continuously working on discovering new sustainable materials. And another really big area of focus for us when it comes to being a force for good has been diversity and inclusivity. So one of the key things that I want to mention here is gender diversity and breaking gender stereotypes. And I mention it to you not only because it's a huge initiative for us, because as a #1 toy brand in the world, we feel it's our obligation to do so, but also because you have so many opportunities to do the same. So just to give you an example, we did a really big study with Gina Davis Institute last year. And we actually know that girls, more so than boys, believe that they can do anything. But society feels very differently. Parents are 6 times more likely to think of their sons as being athletes or being scientists, and 8 times more likely to think of their sons as being engineers, which are probably some of the most broad roles that will be available for kids of the future. So there's a really big job to do to break the gender stereotypes and ensure that girls believe that they can do anything. And LEGO bricks have a big role to play. So we have a really big focus with Ready for Girls campaign. We've also done a big piece of research with Gina Davis Institute on all of our marketing and made all of our marketing, all of our platforms completely inclusive. As a matter of fact, if you go on lego.com, you cannot search by gender. You can only search by passion points and age of the child. We also support LGBTQIA+ community. You see the set here. I don't know how many of you have built it or seen it, but this set just won a big award, LGBTQIA+ award in Britain, and we're very proud of it. But the other big thing that we've also focused on is actually launching a campaign that we did this year, where every day we're encouraging families, LGBTQIA+ families in particular, to build something that connects to a letter in the alphabet. So it's an A to Z campaign. And the reason for that is because there's not a language that exists to actually talk about some of the issues or challenges or even define things. And this is a great opportunity to educate kids in a very relatable way. So these are just some examples of the kinds of areas that we're focused on, including ensuring that we're now including a lot more kids with different abilities. You see a wheelchair kid here in our sets. So just make sure that we're introducing all kinds of different communities and driving inclusivity. So leading with purpose actually delivers value. We can talk about some of these things being part of our core, part of our values, and they're the right things to do for society. But diversity and embracing a lot of the areas that I talked about drives growth. And driving growth and creating value allows us to give back. And one thing just to mention, given that I'm talking to all of you and you are an amazing, amazing, and very inspiring creative community, one team is a super important concept that we drive in the LEGO group. And we actually put kids as our role models at the center. Play is at the core of how we think about our work, really. And just to make it a point, every year we get together for a play day. You just have examples here of the one that we just did, where all 24,000 plus colleagues spend the full day playing together. And that also, of course, helps us to drive inclusive culture. So if we were to ask anyone in our company, what is the #1 KPI that they have, which KPI are they most proud about, it would be this one, being the world's most loved brand, especially for children. And if you ask me whether it's really as fun to work at the LEGO Group as you think, yes, it is. And that's really my business card. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.